Question 13 then, this is a little partnership current account question. Angela, Bennett and Christoph are in partnership. The partnership agreement states the following. So we've got details of interest on capital, 5.5% of the balance on the partner's capital account at the year end. Interest on drawings is 6% on the partner's drawings account at the end of the year. Salaries are £28,000 per annum, just for Angela and Bennett only. Christoph does not get a salary. And then profits and losses are shared in proportion to the balance on the partner's capital account at the end of the year. So that's quite unusual. So we've got these capital account balances. So we're going to be sharing profits and losses in that proportion. Additional information, it tells us that the income statement for the year ended 31st of May 2022 showed a profit of 47,000. Now here's the clue, before any appropriations. Now we've got all the information to do the appropriation. So just a reminder that the appropriation account is the bit that goes at the bottom of the income statement, and it shows how the profit is shared between the partners. Also gives us some information about the opening balance on Bennett's current account. Now remember the difference between capital and current accounts. The capital account is a fixed balance, and it enables you to just kind of ring fence that capital. The current account shows the appropriations that are either due to the partners or charged in the case of interest on drawings, and it matches it up with the drawings that they've taken during the year. And the idea is that we can monitor whether the drawings are kind of a similar amount to the profit entitlement. So the fact that Bennett has got an overdrawn current account suggests that he or she has taken out more in drawings than they were entitled to in profit. So hopefully that will rectify itself this year. Now, what we're actually asked to do for 10 marks is prepare the current account for Bennett, clearly showing the balance brought down at the 1st of June 2022. Okay, so opening balance at the 1st of June 2021, so that's the beginning one. And remember that you only get a mark for the BAL BD at the start of the next period, which could be either side, it could be overdrawn, it could be in credit. We don't get a mark for the carry down, so please make sure that you balance off your T accounts, because that's where the mark will come from. So let's get the opening balance in first of all, and then think about what we're going to be doing. So we're not required to put any dates in. It's a debit balance. It tells us it's a debit balance. So let's not put it on the credit side. Let's put it where it belongs, on the debit side. So that's 5298. Okay, now what we've got to do is work out what Bennett was entitled to in the way of appropriations. But one thing we probably should pop in there at the start is Bennett's drawings. They were £12,000. Now this often gets forgotten in a current account. Drawings don't go into the appropriation account, but we need to debit drawings, because what we're doing with this current account is matching up those drawings with his or her entitlement to profit, which generally is going to be on the credit side. So if they've got a share of profit, if they've got interest on capital, or they've got a salary, that will all be credited to their current account. On the debit side, you've got the drawings, and then any interest that you charge on drawings will also be on the debit side. Okay, so let's have a little look through then at the information. We've got this profit for £47,000. It's not just a straightforward case of sharing that out. What we've got to do is appropriate it first. So the profit for the year is £47,000. Now the first thing we need to do is add any interest on drawings. Now unfortunately, even though we're only doing the current account for Bennett, we're going to have to work this out for all three of them. So all we need to do, they're all charged 6% interest on the balance of their drawing account at the end of the year. So we can just work out the total for this bit. We can work out Bennett's individual interest on drawings separately in a minute. So it's 11,000 plus 12,000 plus 26,000. So between the three of them, if we're charging them interest at 6%, they're going to get charged 2,940. Now the reason I'm doing that first is because it's added to the profit for the year before we start doing the other appropriations. So it actually increases the amount of profit that's available to share between the partners. Now, before we forget, we probably could put the interest on drawings in here just for Bennett. So Bennett's interest on drawings is £12,000 times 6%. So let's charge him with that, £720. And normally we'd be showing this separately, because it's only a little 10-mark question. There's not much point. If we can cut out some of the work, we can minimise the amount of time it's going to take. Okay, now salaries. We've got salaries, two lots of salaries, £28,000 for Angela and Bennett. So it's 2 lots of 28,000, which by my reckoning is £56,000. But let's credit Bennett with, I'm assuming Bennett's a man, doesn't actually say, but let's put his salary in here, £28,000 on his current account. So that's what he's entitled to. We'd also be crediting Angela's current account with her 28,000. Okay, interest on capital is at the top here. It doesn't really matter which order we do these in. So interest on capital, if we add up the capital account balances, 67,000 plus 45,000 plus 38,000 is 150,000, and we're doing 5.5%, which is 8,250. So that's going to be a deduction. So then we've got the residual loss. Actually, let's just, so 49,940 minus 56,000 minus 8,250 is 14,310. We're going to share that between the partners in a minute, but let's not forget to put Bennett's interest on capital. So his entitlement there, 5.5%, 45,000. That's going to go in on the credit side. So interest on capital, 2,475. And then back to sharing this out, we've got the share of loss. They're going to share their profits and losses in proportion to the balance on the capital account at the end of the year. So we're only really interested in what Bennett's going to get. We don't really need to worry about the other two. So 67 plus 45 plus 38 means that the total is £150,000 worth of capital. So Bennett's share of the loss is going to be 45 over 150 times the loss, which is 14,310. So 45 over 150, that's 0.3 or 30% of that loss, 14,310, which is 4,293, is going to be attributed to Bennett. So we need to charge that to him. So let's just see where we got to on this current accounts. We had the balance brought down, we charged him the drawings, the interest on drawings, his salary, his interest on capital, and now we've got his share of the loss. So we're going to put that in on the debit side. Okay, he's going to be charged for his share of the loss, £4,293. Okay, so all we've got to do now is work out what the balance carried down is, because remember they want the balance brought down at the 1st of June. So BAL CD, let's just balance this off. So you can see with this question, the bulk of the work is with doing the appropriation. The current account is actually pretty straightforward. So we've got, let's have a look, 5, and let's start on this side because it looks like the credit side is going to be bigger. So 30,475 on that side, 5,298. 12,720, 4,293. We've only got 22,311 on that side. So the difference is 8,164, and that is the balance brought down at the start. So that's the one we're asked for on the 1st of June 2022, and that's the one that we'll get the mark for. Be careful with the balance brought down. You won't get the mark if the maths doesn't work. So if you haven't sort of balanced it off properly. Speaking of which, I probably should put that figure in there. Also, if there are aliens, so remember, aliens are things that do not belong in here. So if you put something in there like the capital account balance, for example, that doesn't belong in there, or something to somebody else's share of something, then that would be an alien item, and you wouldn't get the balance carried down or balance brought down mark. Okay, so I think that's section A finished. I will record some videos on the section B questions separately. Thanks very much for watching.